everyone, I am Alejandra La Phoenix Ayala here with our weekly program in English. This time around we asked, which celebrity would you like to see in the ring? Now this is really interesting. I launched this question both in the Spanish portals groups as well as the English American groups, and I got two very different responses. Actually, most Mexicans, at least the Mexicans and the people in those groups in boxing, replied that they would not want to see any celebrity in the ring. Actually, some people got very offended. Some people were just not having it. They say it's a different spectacle. For example, when we talked about having these events where ex-boxers are coming back in, but they definitely don't want to see any celebrities. And actually, as far as I can remember, as far as celebrities in the ring, there was only once. It was an exhibition fight where a very famous newscaster here from Televisa, this woman, trained supposedly, I think, for a month or something, and she was going to face on live TV, I think, a round or two, La Barbie Juarez, this professional boxer who obviously has a long trajectory and is a world champion. So they did that, and it was fun, I guess you could say. There were people who were buying into it, but other than that, you haven't really heard or seen any celebrities or any other, let's say soccer players here in Mexico who are also training boxing. So it's not really heard of. Actually, one guy, his name is Rafael, said none. Boxing is a serious sport, requiring a lot of discipline. Whoever truly loves the sport would never want to mix the two. That means they would never want a celebrity to also be a boxer if they're not really taking it seriously, just for spectacle reasons. So that was really interesting. While in the American groups and blogs in boxing, they were excited. They were for it. They named a few, and this all came about why a week ago it was Tim Duncan's birthday. This Spurs basketball player, legendary. He's retired now, but ESPN Knockout actually posted a picture of him training, and they said that although his intention was never actually to train to fight, he was training to gain balance and to get other types of workouts and exercises into his basketball career. So that was really interesting. And also last week, I'm pretty sure we all saw this, Snoop Dogg was on the mitts. He actually looked a little goofy because he's so tall and lanky, and the guy who was doing mitts on him was a little short. So it was funny to me because, Snoop Dogg has this projection, well, a little bit less now that he's best friends with Martha Stewart, but prior to that he was very hardcore, NWA and all that, but now we see him not quite good on the mitts. So it was interesting, but we do see a lot of this more in the American atmosphere as well, as far as boxing and just celebrities in general. Obviously, if we remember, there was a time where Justin Bieber was, so serious about boxing. He was over there training with Mayweather. He was in his corner when Mayweather was still fighting professional boxing, and he would be in his corner. He would come out with him, and there would be videos about him training with Mayweather and everything. I don't know what happened. It looked like it was serious and that he seriously wanted to debut. I know it got pushed back a couple of weeks and a couple of months and another year, and then all of a sudden we didn't hear anything about it and Mayweather retired. So I don't know what happened with Justin Bieber, but he was very serious. And of course, how can we forget the famous KSI versus Logan Paul fight that took place just last year, with this COVID-19, I don't even know what year I'm in anymore. And that, it was a lot of, I understand the sentiment of this guy, Rafael, who said, whoever truly loves the sport doesn't want to mix the two, because as a professional boxer, I felt, I don't know how to say, but it was like a slap in the face, because we as professional boxers, and I know so many people that train so hard for so many years, that are so dedicated, and then these YouTubers come on and they become the main card, 6 rounds, the first fight, and why? Because obviously boxing has become a spectacle, and it's become who wants to see it, who wants to pay for it. Those are the people who are going to be, the protagonists in these events. But I mean, did they really? It was entertaining. I'm not gonna lie, it was entertaining. But I'd much rather see, this fight that isn't happening and that's being postponed, Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor, that to be the main fight, where they don't even get the chance. Even when it was announced, they were the undercard to these heavyweights. So it was just like, I don't know. It's interesting. I think it's a love-hate. It's fun. For example, me, I'm a super hard Tim Duncan fan, so it would be interesting to me. I know he's very dedicated to go in and see him. People from other sports coming in, people from other professions, and also like celebrity singers. I think if they truly do it, not just to be bouncing around, but if they truly want to do it, I think it would be fun and it would be interesting to see maybe like a different aspect of them in the ring, and to see, and for them to actually witness that it's not as easy as it seems. Here in Mexico City, it was just the day of the worker a couple days yesterday, and I think a lot of times we as boxers or as professional athletes, when we haven't yet made the mark, when we're still not shown on television, or if we haven't been already sponsored by Nike or Adidas or whatever, when you tell them I'm a professional athlete, they say, okay, but what do? You don't work? And it's like, this is my job. I'm in the gym all the time. I have to do my diet. It's a psychological thing. It's my life and it's my job. So I think a lot of other people maybe don't take it a little bit more lightly. So I don't know. It would be interesting to see in my watch. So right here, saludos Robert Cartagena. He says Gina Rodriguez's father is an actual boxing referee. Oh, I didn't know that. We know Gina Rodriguez, also the actress, has been shown to box both on her shows and in other videos. So boxing is in her Boricua blood. He also says Bieber was in Mayweather's entourage for a few fights. Yeah, that's right. And as I said, he was dead on that he was going to fight, and then it just didn't happen. I don't know if something happened in sparring. A lot of times, you can be awesome at mitts, awesome at hitting the bag. You can jump rope, 2 hours, but that first time they hit you for real, that's when you have to decide if you really want to do it or if you were just, JK. Robert Cajenes. Because of his physique, how about good old Captain America himself, Chris Evans? Oh my gosh. So I was actually, I went on this little, what is it called? Not Captain America, but the Avengers binge, here on Netflix. And one of them, when Captain America, comes out of the freezer or whatever, and he's, hitting the bag, he has such bad technique. I was just laughing so hard. I actually posted it on my Instagram, a little clip of him just hitting the bag so rigidly, without form, without really putting his hands up, with all these technical things that we are constantly told as boxers, keep your guard up, keep your chin down, do this, move your hips, move your foot, and he wasn't just doing that. So it was just like in my head, and I actually posted it and said, don't be like Captain America, join Body Shop Boxing, shout out over there in Chicago, because I just kept, thinking about my manager and trainer Rick Ramos, like, do this, you're doing this wrong, I was like, he would eat Captain America alive. But yes, I mean, a lot of times, it's not just the physique, it's the actual technique that a lot of people can't fathom, or they're like, why are you in the gym, hitting the bag so many times and so many repetition. It's getting the technique down, but also, as I mentioned, getting hit. I mean, not a lot of people could take it, especially when and you get frustrated that you want to hit them, and then they keep hitting you and they keep evading you. It's frustrating when you first start. So he said the heavy bag scene from both Captain America, the first Avenger, and Avengers 1. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. It's wow. And actually, I've seen a couple. I think now boxing too is just like it's picking up, all over the world, and that's awesome. There's a lot of people who do just want to train to get fit, who do kind of like a boxing cardio thing. There are those who want to do boxing for, to take away stress. There are those who do boxing who want to do strength training and boxing. So, they're hitting, the heavy bag very heavily. They're using the big tire. They're using all these other techniques that the boxers use, So that's awesome. And actually, I've seen it also in a lot of TV shows. Here in Mexico, it's called Vis a Vis. It's this like Orange is the New Black, like a jail thing, but it's from Spain. Also a scene in there where she's hitting the bag just terribly, and I'm like, oh my god, if this was for real, she would break her wrist, because she's just like hitting it like this, and I'm just, but it's interesting, and honestly, like all these TV shows, all these movies, why wouldn't they consult a professional boxer or a manager or somebody to show them a little bit of technique? I don't know. Martin Lawrence versus Thomas Hearns. Enough said. The Martin Lawrence show. Yeah, so I mean, historically we've seen a lot, but recently I think it's just picking up everywhere. And actually, now that I remember, there's also a famous TV telenovela here, soap opera actor here in Mexico who's really into boxing, and actually he started promoting boxing here in Mexico City with professional boxing events, giving opportunity to the 4-6 rounders. He's actually he also donates a lot of money to young people who are addicted to drugs, and he sways them away from it. He gives them scholarships so that they can enter his gyms. He's opened a chain of gyms called Bunker, where it's a mix of CrossFit and boxing. So there's another involvement from celebrities into boxing. I mean, he's not getting into the ring. I've seen him train and everything. Also, he's very strong. He's a good looking guy. He's everything, but I don't think he would ever actually fight, That's the interesting part of me. Like, there's a lot of celebrities boxing and training and, whatever, but not a lot of them are actually getting into the ring. So it's interesting. And, well, moving a little bit into the news, I'm talking a little bit about how Justin Bieber and Mayweather. Mayweather has made the news again because he says now he might come back and fight Broner. Honestly, that's not a fight I want to see. I think, and it was interesting to me that, there was a couple of comments where they said that, Broner might win. They said, why would Mayweather come back and be defeated by Broner? And I was like, is this for real? I think Mayweather, no matter what his technique, he will never lose it. Also, I know he's very active still. I know he's still very fit. I know he keeps, training and all of that. He's so disciplined, regardless of what I think about Mayweather. He is very disciplined. He is very talented. And I think even if he came back now, he would beat a lot of them, including Broner. Actually, Broner, to me, is just average. I think he has a lot of defects. When my friend, shout out Adrian El Tigre Granados, fought him, I actually thought that he won that fight, or it was a tie. Like I said, he has a lot of defects. So even if he did come back and he fought Mayweather, I think it would be, I think it would be kind of boring actually, just because Broner does talk a lot. So maybe like the leading up to effects, which I know Mayweather uses that a lot to sell. So maybe that's why he chose him. But I think if Mayweather were to come back, there are so many other choices of actual boxers, or if he wants to go into the MMA or whatever, that would give him more money, that would give the audience a better spectacle. I don't know. So that's interesting. Robert Cartagena says, I saw a video of actor Jay Hernandez from Hostel and Hawaii Five-0 and El Diablo from Suicide Squad hitting the mitts on the night one Canelo Triple G fights. Oh, I haven't seen that. How did they look? Did they look good? I think sometimes hitting the mitts can tell you a little bit more about the boxing style, rather than just hitting the heavy bag or whatever it may be. Other things. So hitting of the mitts is important. Although I reiterate, once you get hit, changes everything. Well, I have had trainers who also hit you. They say, hey, keep your guard up, or I'm swinging, and if this is the combination, and if you're not moving, you're getting hit. So I have gotten hit a couple times, so reminding myself to keep my guard up. Broner reminds me a lot of Zab Judah with his fight mentality. If he shows up focused and determined, he's a dangerous fighter. If he shows up unmotivated, he drops the ball. Really, actually, I think I would give more respect to Zab Judah. I don't, like I said, I feel like, Broner, especially in the last fights, he's been exposed as having, a lot of different areas for you to be, he's very beatable. And he's shown you in his fights how you can beat him. All you have to do is go back, 2-3 fights, and boom, you can get a good strategy on how to beat him. I don't know. And well, speaking of other possible fights, so as we mentioned last week, Mike Tyson said he was back training. He wants to, come back to one of these fights that are for charity events, basically. And, well, this was all written, he said, that while he was doing mitts, he felt as if, 3-4 people, he had gotten into the ring with 3-4 people, sparring partners, and they had beat him up. So you're thinking, well, maybe, this is a Mike Tyson who, has been out of the gym. He's going to have to come back. He's going to, because of what he said. Nonetheless, this week we saw Mike Tyson. Wow, my respects. 53 years old. He posted it on his Instagram, just a little 10-second clip. He's still got amazing movement. He's still got amazing power. Honestly, I think if he came back now, as long as he could keep up and get that conditioning, I think he could beat a lot of fighters. And this is saying, we're entering a new and a very good era of, the heavyweights, but still, Mike Tyson, wow, my respects. I hope that I look like that and I can move like that at 53 years old. My grandma turned 83 years old, and she says, I feel so bad, I feel so old because my knees hurt. And my mom says, suegra, don't worry, my knees hurt too, and I'm not even 50. And I said, Mom, don't feel bad, I'm 30 and my knees hurt too. So it's really interesting to see Mike Tyson looking so good. I'm really excited for that. I'm not sure who he would fight against in an exhibition fight. Well, that'll be interesting. Who would you like to see Mike Tyson fight against? Maybe we'll post it and we'll see what you guys have to say. As far as having people that have already retired, or I think it would be more interesting, although I'm not sure how it would work, doing an exhibition fight, because I know there are some clauses in professional boxers' contracts where they can't do exhibition fights, especially if they have a fight that's programmed, even if it's 3 months ahead. But what if he did fight somebody right now, or an Olympic amateur boxer? I don't know. I think it would be really interesting. I'm really excited to see that. Let's see what else. Gabriel Rosado did an interview from the first Creed movie and acknowledged Michael B. Jordan as a legit strong puncher. I did see that, and actually, he actually said, Michael B. Jordan also said that he wanted to get into the ring for real because, he said, I've done all the training, I know all the moves. I don't know. As I mentioned, it's always, he can have a strong punch, but I would like to see him getting punched, and then we'll see if he still thinks that, if he still wants to get into the ring for real. What else? Oh, also talking about the heavyweights, Andy Ruiz, for some reason, I think that Andy Ruiz is just in everybody's mouth. And it's interesting because, we have Anthony Joshua, we have the Gypsy King, and we have the guy who just beat, the guy who just won. Sorry, the guy who the Gypsy King just beat. We have all these dynamic fighters, real contenders, top 3. And Andy Ruiz, although he did beat Anthony Joshua, obviously he lost, and they've been having some trouble. I don't know if it's a contractual thing or if he wants more money, more time, what it is, that they haven't gotten a fight. Well, now, obviously, because of the COVID. But he's just been in everybody's mouth. Everybody just is throwing dirt at him. I think all these contenders who are, maybe a little bit less ranked than top 10, who want to come back up, are trying to use Andy Ruiz as a stepping stone towards getting a big fight. I'm not sure. But this week, he's in the mouth of Tony Bello. So Tony Bello says that he wants to fight Andy Ruiz in a huge spectacle fight. I think that would be an interesting fight. There are obviously contractual things. I don't know if that's the way Andy Ruiz wants to go. Obviously, he would make a lot of money, but I think if he wants to be, first of all, taken as a true contender, and Wilder, thank you, Ralphie, thank you. I think if he wants to be a true contender and get back to the top of the top three of having defeated Anthony Joshua in a great fight. You can't say it was a lucky fight. It was a great fight. I think that he needs to face these big names. This Wilder, this Gypsy King. This I think with Anthony Joshua, it won't happen for a while. But all these top contenders we have in the whole world. I think that's the route that he needs to take, and obviously take the training very seriously. Not depend just on the close range. Tú me das, yo te doy, because Anthony Joshua obviously deciphered that, and as long as he was moving, the good punches that Andy Ruiz did give him were when he stayed. So obviously I think boxers are not going to be so, they're not going to be so easily, they know his capacity. They know his capacity, his punching capacity, his quickness, and I don't think they're going to underappreciate that anymore. They're not going to say, oh, this guy's just a little fat guy, I'm just going to stay in the pocket. I don't think they're going to do that. But if they do move, I don't think Andy Ruiz knows how to walk the ring so much. He does have good, fast movements at close middle range, but if you are fighting from a distance, like obviously he is a short boxer, then you have to move like Tyson. You have to be able to get in, otherwise, what are you going to do? Let's see, what else? I don't know if you heard the show The Real Husbands of Hollywood, but it featured an episode where Shane Mosley fought Kevin Hart. Oh wow, it's a Shane Mosley. So I never saw that. I know Kevin Hart isn't everything. I know Kevin Hart just likes to have a good time, talk a lot of BS, and just be in the mix with everything and everybody. So I'm gonna have to check that out because I'm sure that was fun. Shane Mosley is also one of my favorite fighters of the past and the present. We have his son. His son actually fought in Tijuana, so I've had the pleasure of interacting with him and being around him. He's a great guy. I hope the best for Shane Mosley Jr. I know that it's not always easy living up to your father's expectations, especially when you're a great legend like Shane Mosley. So he's going to have to give that extra pull and also be ready to receive all the criticisms in the world and comparisons in the world because the eyes are all on him. What else? Let's see. If you could have any celebrity accompanying you to the ring for your next fight, who would it be? Wow, that's really, I don't know. I guess I never thought about that. Maybe not a celebrity, but as far as having an ex-boxer, well, right now my current trainer is an ex-champion of the world in Tijuana super welterweight, Alejandro El Terra Garcia. So he's obviously in my corner, so that's like having a celebrity in my corner. But I also respect a lot Jackie Nava. She was present and announced my first fight in Tijuana back in 2015. So that's always awesome because you feel like you want to impress, you feel like you want to give it your all, and you know that she's watching, and you know that she's an amazing boxer and future Hall of Famer, and obviously future legend. She's still active, so that's what I'm saying, future. So that's always really exciting, gets your adrenaline pumping. As far as celebrities, I don't know, I'm not really, I admire, I think, a lot of athletes, and of course I love music and movies. I'm big on that, but I'm not sure. I guess I'm gonna have to think about that and say it on my next program. And yeah, what else? So so we talked about this event in Nicaragua that happened on a professional plane, and we were all divided. I think the world was divided. The world was divided into not just the conspirators, but the people who are thinking, this is over exaggeration, government control, they can't tell us what to do, etc., in the world. And they were like, this is awesome. We need to start, reopening the economy. We need to start back with our normal lives. Let's do it. Let's go 100%. And then there was others who were like, this is insane. This is why, the COVID isn't over yet. This is why it's taken such a damage on our economy. If people would just listen and stay inside and, remain social distancing, then we would have been done in 2 instead of, half a year. So it was those 2 divisions. And although they did take a lot of precautions, and I think they did a good event, even though there were, people present. They did everything in their power, I think, to diminish or to eliminate the possibility of contagion. So, like I said, I think a lot of it depends what happens because of that. Are there people infected? Is there another outbreak? What's happening in the after effects of the Nicaragua professional boxing event that took place last Saturday? And how is that going to affect us? I mean, up until now, there hasn't been any news. That's the thing. Neither the negative nor the positive side. I don't know, even if people did get affected, that they would make it public. I think there would be hush money involved. And because obviously, it would be coming down on the government, who the government from the beginning said that they supported this event. And there just hasn't been any news. And I wish there were some kind of news so that we could kind of see, as the boxing world, how are we going to come back into this? There's also, like I said, there's been so many events canceled, not only May, June, July. Big time promoters don't want to take the chance of doing the whole promotion and everything, spending all this money and getting all these boxers, and then them saying, what, we're going to do another month or another 15 days, or you can't do it with an audience. Or I know there's been a few promoters, especially Bob Arum, who's saying, there's these events where we can't do it without an audience because the audience is, everything. Specifically talking about the Lomachenko fight against Lopez. There's Eddie Hearn, who says, yeah, let's do it, let's start these events, but also he has the platform of DAZN. So it's really interesting, and I would really wish that, there was something being publicized about the Nicaragua event and the effects of that event, so that we could all see, which steps we need to take in order to get on with this. So I don't know, we'll see. Here in Mexico, we're starting opening May 20th, wherever there was low contagion to no contagion. And speaking specifically in the border of Tijuana and San Diego, starting also May 20th, they're going to open that up to tourists once again. As of now, it was only open to citizens. And the 31st, May 31st, is when it officially ends in all of Mexico. But then, of course, we have the phase 1 of integration, this phase 2 of integration. I'm not sure where boxing fits into all that. So, what else? Someone friends with Marisela Cornejo and Nancy Rodriguez of the WC. Imagine if Chiquis Rivera stepped into the ring in the future. I think that would be interesting, and I think because of all the love for Jenny Rivera, her mother, maybe it would attract a bigger Mexican public. Although I reiterate, from my understanding and from my perspective, from my surroundings, real boxing I don't want to say fans, but real people who are into boxing for real don't want to get those two mixed, and they think it's, the worst thing in the world to mix those two things. But I think fans in general, especially of Chiquis Rivera and all that dynasty, I think they would be up for it. And actor Tony Danza is a former Golden Gloves champion. No, I do not know him, and I did not know that. But there are a lot of, celebrities or people, people that we see every day that we don't even know that they train boxing. My dad, now that I'm a professional boxer, he hated the idea of me boxing, but now he tells me, oh, I did train when I was young, and I got into one fight when I was young, and I'm like, okay, so what's the problem here? I mean, we're all good now, but it's really interesting. I feel like everybody has low key at one point trained or had something to do with boxing, and just doesn't tell it to the world. But well, that's all our show today. Thank you so much again to everybody participating, especially right here, Robert Cartagena. You're the real MVP. And as always, you know, greetings to everyone in Chicago, in Tijuana, Mexico City, Canada, and the rest of the world where we are watching. I'll see you guys on Friday for our next show. I am Alejandra La Fenix Ayala. Have a great day. Bye.